about habits. Do you ever feel like you're just spinning your wheels? You know, you try to start something good, exercising, maybe writing more, learning a new skill, but it just doesn't seem to stick.
Oh, definitely. Or trying to quit something bad and you feel like your willpower just vanishes after a day or two.
Exactly. And you think, I just don't have the motivation. But what if it's not really about motivation? What if it's something else entirely?
Well, that's where the source material we're digging into today, the book, offers a really interesting perspective. It basically challenges that whole idea.
How so?
It suggests that the real issue often isn't a lack of motivation, but the lack of a good system. The book talks about this idea of the plateau of latent potential.
Okay, the plateau of latent potential. What's that?
Think of it like melting an ice cube. You're putting in energy, right? You're heating it up.
Right.
The temperature goes from, say, 25 degrees to 31 degrees.
Right, but it's still ice. Nothing looks different.
Exactly. All that effort, all that energy, it's building up potential, but you don't see the change. Not until you hit that specific point, 32 degrees Fahrenheit, and then it starts turning to water.
Ah, I get it. So you're putting in the work with a new habit, maybe for days or weeks, and it feels like nothing's happening.
Until you hit that breakthrough point. And then suddenly it looks like this overnight success, even though it wasn't overnight at all.
That makes a lot more sense than just blaming motivation. So the book argues that relying on like big bursts of inspiration or just setting goals isn't really the best way because the effort needs a structure.
Precisely. Goals are about the results you want to achieve. Run a marathon, finish a project, lose some weight. Systems are about the processes that lead you there.
Like the daily routine.
Yeah, the training plan you follow, the healthy meals you consistently prepare, the time you set aside to write each day. The book makes a really strong point that if you focus on the system, on the process itself, that's where sustainable change happens.
Okay, but why is focusing on the system better?
Goals can be really motivating, right? That finish line feeling.
They can be, sure. But think about it, what happens after you hit the goal? If your whole focus was just the goal, the motivation can kind of disappear.
Right, you cross the finish line and then
you might stop running. But if you built a system of running regularly, that system keeps going. And maybe more importantly, a system helps you handle setbacks.
How do you mean?
Well, if you have a goal-only mindset and you miss a workout, you might feel like a failure, like you've blown it. But with a system mindset, it's more like, okay, missed today. Let's just get back to the process tomorrow. The system is built for the long haul.
Good resilience seems key. And the book breaks down how to build that system, right? Based on how habits actually work.
Yes, exactly. It talks about the 4 stages of any habit. There's the cue, the craving, the response, and the reward.
Cue, craving, response, reward. Okay, so the cue is the trigger, what kicks it off. The craving is the motivation, the desire that follows the cue. The response is the actual habit you perform. And the reward is the satisfaction you get, which tells your brain, hey, that was good. Let's remember this loop for next time.
And the book gives practical ways to use this loop.
Right, the 4 laws of behavior change. Make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying. You use these laws to design your habits and your systems.
Let's make that concrete. Say someone wants to, I don't know, exercise more consistently. How would they apply those laws?
Okay, good example. To make it obvious, law 1. You could lay out your gym clothes the night before. The cue is right there when you wake up. The book even mentions studies on implementation intentions, just deciding when and where you'll do it, like I'll exercise for 20 minutes at 6 p.m. in the living room, makes you way more likely to follow through.
So planning makes the cue obvious. What about attractive?
To make it attractive, law 2, you could try something called temptation bundling. Pair something you want to do with something you need to do. Like maybe you only let yourself listen to your favorite podcast while you're exercising.
Ooh, I like that. Okay, make it easy. That seems important.
Crucial. Law 3, make it easy. Reduce the friction. Instead of aiming for an hour workout right away, start with something ridiculously small, like 5 push-ups. Or just put on your running shoes and walk for 5 minutes. The goal is just to show up, to make starting effortless.
The 2-minute rule, basically.
Exactly. Master the art of showing up. And finally, law 4, make it satisfying. Give yourself some immediate reinforcement.
Like a reward.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to be huge. Maybe track your workout on a calendar. Seeing the streak grow is satisfying. Or just take a moment to feel good about having done it. The immediate positive feedback helps lock in the habit.
So it's really about designing your environment and the habit itself. So it's just easier to do the right thing than not to. Less about pure grit.
Pretty much. It's about making the path of least resistance lead towards the good habit. And this connects to something deeper the book talks about.
Yeah.
How our habits actually shape who we are, our identity.
Okay, how does that work?
Well, the argument is that every action you take is like casting a vote for the type of person you want to become. Your habits are essentially how you embody a particular identity.
So if I want to be a writer,
Then writing, even just one sentence each day, is a vote for being a writer. If you want to be a healthy person, eating one healthy meal is a vote for being a healthy person. The actions provide the evidence.
wow. So these tiny habits aren't just about achieving some external goal, they're actually changing you from the inside out.
That's the core idea. You're reinforcing that desired identity with every small win, with every repeated action. Your current habits are a reflection of your current identity. So if you want to change who you are, changing your habits, even in very small ways, is the most practical way to do it.
It's like those tiny votes add up over time to fundamentally shift who you see yourself as being.
Exactly. It's the accumulation of those small, consistent votes that ultimately changes the outcome.
So wrapping this up then, the big takeaway from the book seems to be shifting focus, away from just relying on motivation, away from only looking at massive goals,
And towards building consistent systems built from really small, manageable habits.
and understanding that habit loop, the cue, craving, response, reward, and then using those 4 laws, make it obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying. That's how you engineer those systems.
Right. It really boils down to the power of tiny gains, of small improvements compounding day after day.
It makes change feel much more achievable, actually, not this huge, daunting thing.
It does. It emphasizes that the small choices you make consistently are what truly shape your future and define who you become.
Which leaves us with that really powerful thought from the book to consider. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. Definitely something to think about.